Ed O'Bannon. Ed O'Bannon was a basketball player for UCLA from 1993 to 1995. They were a decent team. Never good, but never bad. They had a decent run between 1993 and 1994, but 1995 was their year. They were number one going into the tournament, and they had 3 seniors, one of them including Ed. The tournament started with UCLA in the 1 seed versus FIU, the 16 seed. UCLA beat them to move on to Missouri, beat Missouri and Mississippi State. Then, in the Sweet 16, beating Connecticut. The Final Four, UCLA beat Oklahoma State and moved on to the championship against Arkansas and won that. This making them the 1995 March Madness champions, but you'll have to remember this team for later.
Gosh, that's going to hurt tomorrow morning for old buddy. This is the sick part that I loved about football.
Johnny Manziel, the 2012 Heisman winner. He was one of the greatest college football players to ever play the game. He had lots of fans and many people who bought his jersey. But because of the NCAA rules, he made no money. The NCAA was profiting off his NIL, or name, image, and likeliness, without his permission. Johnny Manziel was angry he got no money and decided to start profiting by himself.
But I had a bone to pick with the NCAA.
The organization continues to profit off student athletes.
People had been making millions on the back of Johnny.
I remember this guy comes up to me and he's like, hey, I've got 30 grand for you to sign autographs. And once that happened for the first time, it was like game on.
That was a clip from the Netflix documentary Johnny Football. Johnny broke the NCAA rules and decided to profit off his NIL illegally and made a lot of money. Alright, back to Ed O'Bannon, but this time we're not talking about his 1995 championship run. We're talking about him in a video game. He was put in the game NCAA 09 and did not receive any money for his NIL or name, image, and likeliness. O'Bannon was very angry and wanted to take them to court over it. That was a picture of the game that Ed was put into. Pretty similar, right? Ed O'Bannon's lawsuit argues that upon graduation, a former student athlete should become entitled to financial compensation for the NCAA's commercial uses of their image. Ed O'Bannon was the leader of that plaintiff, or someone who makes a legal complaint against someone else in court, but the case wasn't settled until 5 years later. Ed sued them in 2009, but in 2010, NCAA tried to dismiss the case. The trial and verdict lasted from June 9th to June 27th, 2014. With the case being decided on August 10th, 2014, the judges ruled that the NCAA violated an antitrust law. Although this case didn't make many major changes, it fueled other people in the future to take a stand about the NCAA's athlete NIL compensation. Destroying, or Donald D. LaHaye, was the kicker for UCF in 2017. His YouTube channel became very successful, but the organization did not like that because the rules stated against it. The rules stated he was not allowed to profit off his own NIL, and in doing so, the organization kicked him out.
Had to make this decision between playing football and creating your videos.
I either agree to the terms they gave me, which I didn't feel like were too fair, or, I choose to rule myself ineligible. So I really didn't agree to what they were telling me to do. I felt like it was unfair. I felt like, it violated some of my principles and some of my values.
In this clip from SportsCenter, Destroying was clearly hinting at that the NCAA was not letting him profit off of his YouTube channel, and he thought that that was wrong. His channel was successful, and they were taking that away from him. Fast forward to 2019, where the first NIL law was passed. It was passed in California too, but it was only allowing them to do promotional activity and nothing else. Next year in 2020, most if not all other states passed the same laws as California. Then the NAIA regulated NIL compensation for its college athletics. The NAIA is a smaller college athletics than the NCAA, but it led up to something big happening soon. Next, in 2021, NCAA vs. Alston was another antitrust law similar to ED's, this time resulting in players being allowed to benefit off their own NIL. All of these rules started because of Ed O'Bannon. Ed O'Bannon was the one who started it all off, and Alston was just carrying it on, letting athletes benefit off their own NIL. After the laws were passed, athletes were signing deals and making lots of money. One of the first big deals being Kayvon Thibodeau's 5-year, $1 million deal with Adidas. And some major colleges were losing money because the athletes were getting the money they should have. The most notable colleges that lost money or didn't profit off anything was Alabama and Texas. And the most significant NIL earner early on was Bryce Young, who racked up over $1 million in NIL deals. But he is most noticed for his commercials with Dr. Pepper. But some people are making a lot more money now, thanks to their dad and uncles. It's Bronny James and Arch Manning. Bronny makes up to $6 million a year, and Arch Manning makes up to $3.5 million a year. And in just 3 years, athletes have made roughly $1 billion together doing different deals. Just a few rules being passed from the NCAA caused athletes to make billions, but Ed O'Bannon was at the start of all of this. He was the first to do antitrust laws. He was the first to complain about his NIL. He was the first who wanted athletes to have NIL. He was the first to start all of it. Ed O'Bannon was ambitious. He wanted something to change in college sports, and he made it happen. Ed O'Bannon truly was a game changer, and he will have lasting effects on college sports forever.